Hey there, folks. Welcome to the South Elementary School Garden. We've got a couple different outdoor rooms here, but today I want to talk to you about two different kinds of living things. So you may think back to your elementary science days. Maybe if you're here at the South Elementary, maybe in third grade and second grade. I know Mr. Campbell has talked about this. Two different words that I want you to know. The first is biotic, and the other one is abiotic. So if you think back, what do you think the word biotic means? Biotic means alive. So there are certain things in this garden that are alive, and there are certain things that are abiotic, which means they are not alive, not living. What do you think's alive here? We got plants, there's probably some animals living in here, and that's really what I want to talk to you about today, plants and animals. So plants are what we call autotrophs. You may have heard the word producers. That's a little bit easier word to understand. So they're autotrophs, or producers, produce their own food from sunlight. So lots of plants are green, right? And the reason for that is they have chlorophyll in them, and they do a process called photosynthesis to take sunlight to create energy for themselves. So you can see this bush over here has green leaves. It's doing photosynthesis. It's taking sunlight, creating its own energy. Because it can produce its own energy, that makes it a producer or an autotroph. Now, animals cannot produce their own energy. They can't do photosynthesis. They have to eat. So they consume, right? Consume is another word for eat. They consume sometimes plants or sometimes other animals, right? So primary consumers are heterotrophs, are consumers that eat plants. Secondary consumers would be animals that eat other animals, right? So if you think about the energy starts with the sun. It gets transferred into the green plants, into the autotrophs, into the producers. It's then stored there. When animals come and eat those plants, they get energy from those plants, and the energy gets transferred to them. And then other animals come and eat those animals, and the energy gets transferred to them, right? So that's, in fifth grade, you're going to learn about food chains. So what I want you to know today are two words, biotic and abiotic. And I want you to know that producers are like plants. They can produce their own food from sunlight, or sometimes in rare cases from chemicals under the ocean, but we're just going to talk about plants today. They can produce their energy from sunlight, producers, and also consumers. Those are animals that eat, either eat other plants or eat other animals, or both. So now that we've talked about biotic and abiotic, what's alive and what's not, and you know about producers and consumers, also known as autotrophs and heterotrophs, let's talk about what plants and animals need to live. So there's certain things that both plants and animals need, right? So water, your plants and animals both need water. They both need space, right? So if it's a plant that's growing, it's going to need some space to grow. If it's an animal, it's going to need some space to live and grow, right? They're also going to need air. So for animals, we need oxygen. Even animals that live under the ocean, like fish, they have gills to take oxygen out of the water. But for us, we get our oxygen from the air. Plants also need certain things from the air. So they need carbon dioxide. They take in carbon dioxide and let oxygen out. They also need some oxygen also. But they need air to be able to live. For heterotrophs, like you and I, for animals that eat, consumers, we need food. Without food, we're not going to make it very long. Plants don't eat, they don't need food, but they do need sunlight and nutrients, right? And then finally, for animals, we need some kind of shelter. So, that may be a house or a home for people, but animals can live in dens, or they have their own different shelter. So things that plants need to live: water, space, air, nutrients, and sunlight. Things that animals need to live: animals need water, space, oxygen, food, and shelter.